Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to do something a little bit magical today. We're stepping completely out of the everyday and into this beautifully enchanting storybook world to look at a narrative called The Great Journey of Toby the Train. Now, don't let that whimsical title fool you. What we're actually unpacking here is a deeply emotional journey. It's about growing up, facing our absolute worst fears, and the really heavy price of unresolved conflict. Listen to this quote. Real friends support each other through every journey, no matter how long the road may be. I want you to keep that thought firmly in your mind. This whole explainer is fundamentally about the true meaning of connection, and our protagonist is going to have to travel a very long, very difficult road to figure out exactly what those words mean. Section 1. Once Upon in Railville. You know, every epic fairy tale needs that perfect, idyllic home to start in. Once upon a time in Railville. It just immediately builds this enchanted, almost timeless world. Railville is this wonderful place of community and comfort. And right in the center of the whole thing is our protagonist, a small train named Toby. Now, to understand Toby's journey, we gotta look at who he was before the adventure started. He lived surrounded by friends, sure, but he was a bit careless. He'd often wake up late, and he constantly had to be reminded by the station manager, Mr. Carter, to step up and be more responsible. Toby is comfortable, maybe a little too comfortable. He's kind of taking his lovely life and the people in it for granted, which, as we know, sets the perfect stage for some serious character growth. But here's where the emotional setup really takes shape. Toby and his absolute best friend, Max, shared a remarkably close bond. They were inseparable. But then, a dark cloud rolls in. A simple misunderstanding upsets Max, and instead of just talking it out like friends should, they just stopped talking. Period. Total silence. And this painful, completely unresolved silence between best friends creates this lingering ache right at the start of our tale. Section 2. The Unspoken Goodbye. So Toby is carrying around this massive, heavy burden of regret when, suddenly, the universe decides it's time for him to leave the nest. He gets his call to adventure, a crucial, daunting mission to go inspect railway tracks far away from home. This is it. This is the moment our small train is asked to step up. He has to actually leave the safe, predictable limits of Railville. It's a genuinely scary departure into the great unknown, and it's exactly the kind of trial a hero needs to force them out of their comfort zone. Just try to picture the sheer physical scale of Toby's lonely quest. Stage 1, leaving the absolute safety of home. Stage 2, crossing these massive, imposing mountains. And Stage 3, venturing into the barren, terrifying isolation of the great desert. The physical distance here perfectly mirrors the emotional distance Toby is feeling inside. He's getting further and further away from everything he knows. But right before he even hits those mountains, this truly devastating moment happens. All of Toby's friends gather around to wish him luck before his grand departure. Toby is desperately hoping to finally break the silence, to just say goodbye to Max, but they miss each other. It's heartbreaking. So Toby has to set off into the wild carrying this massive, unresolved emotional weight. He's embarking on the biggest journey of his life, feeling completely disconnected from his very best friend. Section 3. The Perilous Sandstorm. Right, so every protagonist must face the belly of the beast, that moment where all hope seems lost and they are just stripped right down to their core. Toby is way out in the great desert when absolute disaster strikes. An incredibly powerful sandstorm rolls in. It completely envelops him, slowing his journey to a terrifying halt. And most importantly, it cuts off all contact with Railville. The harsh environment here beautifully mirrors Toby's internal feelings. He is engulfed by darkness, completely isolated and utterly alone in the chaos. Which leaves us staring at a massive emotional cliffhanger. Would Toby ever see his home or his best friend Max again? I mean, when the storm is raging and your ties to home are completely severed, how do you find the strength to keep your wheels turning? Section 4. Luna's Guiding Light. Thankfully, fairy tales always provide a glimmer of hope in the darkest of times, almost magically appearing right through the howling winds of the desert. A kind cargo train named Luna finds our small protagonist, and she helps him recover. She pulls him out of the literal storm, absolutely, but she's also there to rescue him from his emotional storm. The fear, the intense isolation, and that heavy guilt he's been harboring about Max. And this is exactly what Luna teaches him. She says, stay brave and keep moving forward even when things look difficult. It's classic fairy godmother wisdom, right? But it imparts the exact emotional breakthrough Toby desperately needs to survive.
He can't undo the misunderstanding with Max right now, and he certainly can't wish away the desert. All he can do is be brave, take responsibility, and just keep moving forward.
Section 5. The Triumphant Return.
Empowered by Luna's guidance, our small, once careless train pushes through the rest of his journey. Step 1, he successfully completes his daunting inspection mission. Step 2, he journeys all the way back across the desert and the mountains, returning safely home to Railville. And Step 3, he is warmly, enthusiastically welcomed back by his excited friends. The entire community celebrates the return of a hero who has truly proven his responsibility.
But the true emotional payoff, the real climax of our whole story here, isn't about the completed tracks. It's the moment Max steps forward and apologizes for their earlier argument. That heavy, painful silence is finally broken. The two friends reunite, healing that awful rift. And the source actually tells us they become closer than ever. Toby's physical journey is over, but his emotional journey? That is beautifully resolved.
Section 6. True meaning of friendship.
Now let's draw out the deeper moral lessons from Toby's great adventure. The story doesn't just end with Toby. A little later on, his mentor, Luna, visits Railville, and she quickly becomes friends with everyone in the town. Through their shared adventures, their teamwork, and helping one another, the entire community of trains actually learns to adopt the lessons that Toby learned out in that lonely desert. The magic of connection just spreads like wildfire. So, what really makes a great train? Traditionally, the expected answer is purely physical, strength and speed. But the reality, as Toby and Railville discovered, is entirely emotional. It's about having the courage to face the storms, the kindness to rescue the lost, and the true friendship to heal broken bonds. These virtues are literally so much more valuable than just horsepower.
And so we arrive right back where we started, with this profound definition. Real friends are those who support each other through every journey, no matter how long the road may be. Look, we all have our own deserts to cross, our own storms to navigate, and sometimes our own stubborn silences to break. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to really think about. In the storybook of your own life, who are the Maxes and Lunas supporting you on your journey? And more importantly, what kind of friend are you being to them?